Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Dead Malls, your one-stop shop for malls, retail, and everything in the details. And welcome back to our final few episodes here of Season 5. Tonight, as we made our way into the Pittsburgh Metro for the first time, we stopped and explored two local malls. Two malls that I knew wouldn't be seeing the light of day much longer. And that first mall was a $100 disaster. A mall that should have never been. A mall that's not even 20 years old and is still the prime example of how not to do a shopping center. And that mall is tonight's Pittsburgh Mills. But before I spoil too much of the fun, I'd like to take a moment to shout out our winner who was able to successfully guess the next mall. Very nice job, Evans Explorers. If you would like to have your chance at being shouted out in the finale, stick around for the next challenge. Anyways, let's dive in here, tell the story of, and see how Pittsburgh Mills is doing as of our visit in December of 2022.
I'm craving your soul. Baby, I'm bleeding, and I wonder if you really planned this all along.
I love the Charlie Brown music. As we entered Pittsburgh Mills, you'll hear me spin one of my favorite zany mall tracks. But yes, in-person me was right, they were playing Charlie Brown music while we were here, and I may sprinkle in some seasonal tunes later on because this was Christmas of 2022 after all, and while the holiday stars and Santa himself populated the hall, special appearance later, we began exploring the expansive Pittsburgh Mills. This was the first song that my mind went to. Mean Street just has that way of capturing the whimsical and Willy Wonka-esque architecture and colors in a subtle and subdued way into the song, while also making it feel like some sort of forgotten festival of life. So sit back, pop your quarter into your massage chair, and let me tell you the story of Pittsburgh Mills and how this nightmare came to never be. And just like me here in a second, you too can gawk at how long the Mills is. I guess size really mattered to them because looking down at the other end, which we'll do more as we go deeper, you'll hear my astonishment. A lot of these long shots were filmed in 3x zoom, which makes it almost feel like the mall is a couple miles in length, which is just absolutely bizarre to behold in person. Looks like a mile long. Though it is a Mills Mall and its story technically begins in the 2000s, Pittsburgh Mills' story actually dates back further than you might think, beginning in the glamorous year of 1981, in the furthest northeastern reaches of the metro. In Fraser Township, mall developer Zamias would conduct several surveys among the locals, finding out that there was an untapped retail market to which a mall in the area could cater. Plans were in the earliest stages, but with legal setbacks and an economic recession, Zamias would postpone and instead hold on to the idea of a massive regional shopping center. Back then, the area was just rural farmland and hills along the river. A freeway did pass through the area, but without any exits and no future development planned, it seemed as though Zamias' idea was dead in the water. But little did they know in the 2000s, a little-known mall company called the Mills Corporation was looking to possibly tap into the market themselves.
Some woodworking. Woo.
I like how you can see the exits going all the way down.
Now, throughout tonight's episode, you're going to see a new member join our mall crew, and that's my good friend Andrew here. He has a Mills video of his very own and several other amazing mall videos, so be sure to head over to his channel and give him a sub.
You realize this is the first time these are fake rocks. These are fake trees. Everything about this mall is fake.
In 2002, the Mills Corporation, with their wacky, colorful, and trippy-esque malls being built at a breakneck pace around the US, announced their partnership with Zamias to build a brand new $300 million Mills mega mall on the site. To be cultivated from rolling farmland into a thriving shopping hub, work would begin immediately. Soon raising of the woods, flattening of the land, and the leveling of dirt began. To be spread out over 300 acres, the Pittsburgh Mills development would begin. And you have to imagine this as a resident who would drive along the turnpike every day. First the trees were gone, then road construction would see a towering interchange take over the land. And just up the hill, Pittsburgh Mills was taking shape. Constructed not just as the mall itself, but an entire development. There was, of course, the massive 900,000 square foot mall structure itself, known as the Galleria at Pittsburgh Mills, but just over the road lie the Village at Pittsburgh Mills, conceived of several major big box stores like Walmart, Lowe's, and Sam's Club. Oh, how could this end badly? As construction continued, the Mills Corporation was found to be on the verge of complete bankruptcy, and if this mall didn't work out for the struggling company, it was over. Would residents follow through and come in stride to the new mall was all the company was riding on, and as the opening neared, the Mills and Zamias held their breath.
Yeah. Pop a squat. Oh, ow, I thought that was cushion.
Remember, if you're ever tired or need to take a seat, you're always a short walk away from the glove couches. Or should I call them leathered hands? Because seriously, these are supposed to be baseball gloves. They would be pretty difficult to catch balls in, just saying. But for real, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever need to know what it's like to sit inside of a human hand, Pittsburgh Mills has got you covered. Welcome everyone to the first of Pittsburgh Mills' distinct neighborhoods, Sports Street, home to the glove couches, the failed raceway, and my personal favorite, the golf balls. This area up here used to be home to the Mills Tilt Arcade, which was stripped down so much over the years until it was literally a joke, with only a few machines, flickering lights, and tacky signage.
They took down the letters like the turn, race, win. What? Splats? Check that. Right. Hello, backrooms.
On Thursday, July 14th, 2005, the Galleria at Pittsburgh Mills would officially open to the public, and it would be filled with thousands of eager patrons curious to see what the mall had in store. And what they found was your everyday average Mills Mall. Zany, colorful neighborhoods harbor different types of stores and services, all themed, of course, in a whimsical way to the different aspects of Pittsburgh. Cut glass chandeliers, bridges, and rivers all populated the architecture. Hardwood floors and carpets followed shoppers around the iconic racetrack-shaped Mills layout, and betwixt anchor stores JCPenney, Kaufmann's, Sears Grand, and Cinemark lie over 175 different stores, with most being well-known name brands. How was the Mills able to secure these names? Well, with the help of Zamias, the Mills was able to break away from their usual discount brands and secure some popular names. There was, of course, your typical Mills branding, with family-oriented attractions like Lucky Strike Lane's bowling alley and a putting-edge glow golf, with the NASCAR speed park to come soon near Junior Anchor Dick's Sporting Goods. Near the Cinemark Theater, the mall's food court sat, with dozens of eateries and restaurants. Stores to populate the mall included Linens and Things, Borders Bookstore, Claire's, Deb, Journeys, and so much more. But there were still spaces left empty, and yet without a brand to call them home. Mills predicted that these spaces would be filled in no time, and for the mall to thrive. But after the hype of opening had calmed down, and the mall went into its first few years of operation, it was already doomed. I know I've been falling in love with these slow-building, almost trip-like tracks from Desert Sands Feels Warm at Night over the last few episodes, but you guys just gotta bear with me. It's a phase. Plus, I feel like in a mall like P. Mills, it's just a very deserving song. A mall that feels almost like a trip in your wildest desires. It opened, but would fail. And all of this, these flowing glass shapes and colors, built for no one. I told you I was going to slip in a Christmas track in there. Yeah, see, I told you I'd do it. And yes, you heard me correct earlier. Pittsburgh Mills had its very own Sears Grand store. The only time I've ever seen one for myself yet was here, and it was mind-boggling. To those of you who may not know, Sears Grand was Sears' effort to building big box stores similar to Walmart or Target. The only problem with that? Well, Sears didn't really know what they were doing, building them mostly in Mills malls, underdeveloped areas, and building them right around the time of their bankruptcy and the Great Recession. 10 to 15 years after most were built, they were closed. While Andrew celebrates finally making it to the food court, halfway there, we continue our tale. Why wasn't this brand new mall bound for success? Well, while the first few weeks went by smoothly, and it looked up for the Mills, as the years would pick up, numbers of shoppers per day would drop. Simply put, people weren't willing to drive hours to see Pittsburgh Mills, which is what their goal was. And those communities along the river, after opening, they abandoned the mall. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. The Mills Corporation was found to be using shady business practices and had millions of dollars of unpaid loans. Upon filing for bankruptcy again, they would be merged with Simon Properties. Shortly before doing so, though, Mills would give the mall's controlling stake to Zamias, making Pittsburgh Mills the only Mills mall not owned by Simon, and the Mills' very last. Going into the recession with dying foot traffic and national retailers pulling out, it looked bad. but this was just the very beginning.
Oh, the theater's closed. You can see where the movie posters were.
Being in one of the most iconic Dead Mall food courts of all time, you already know I had to throw in some Beverly. It's a vaporwave paradise and a vaporwave icon. It's so fitting. This food court was, for a very short time, filled with dozens of different eateries, food kiosks, and restaurants. Oh, and of course, the theater, which has been stripped down to $1 theaters recently. It was also home at one point to a Sky Trail, which was the mall's way of trying to bring people back in during the mid-2010s. It of course would fail and has since been stripped away. Coupled with a few tables and buckets dotted around the otherwise empty atmosphere, provides for some spooky and weird sights. The planned NASCAR speed park, which had an entire plot of land on the east side ready for it, would cancel plans, and the site has sat vacant since. In February of 2006, Kaufmann's would become Macy's, with that being the only anchor name change to take place in the mall's history. Soon major tenants like Linens and Things, Lucky Strike Lanes, and Borders would close. By 2011, through the recession, Pittsburgh Mills was a dying husk of what it was supposed to be. Some of these storefronts you see were never occupied. Some even had boxes and racks being set up for future store use, but were abandoned and left behind when it was revealed how much the mall was failing. In 2014, the mall would start to be sparsely dotted with non-retail operations. Everything from donation centers to churches and offices. In 2015, Sears Grand, after just 10 years in what was supposed to be their flagship store concept, would close and abandon the mall. The massive space would only ever be used a few times after as a discount store and Spirit Halloween, of course. Soon thereafter, Pittsburgh Mills would be rocketed into the limelight as one of the saddest malls in the US, the dying failure of a mall that should have never been.
Thank you for shopping at Kmart.
As we leave the food court, our last whimsical stop is the old kids' playground. Every Mills mall, at least the ones that I've been to, St. Louis Mills and Cincinnati Mills, all have this exact same type of playground, with the giant metal flower petals, grody carpets, and trippy colors. Speaking of trippy colors, it seems like we're finally coming out of the high that was that first half of the mall. Luckily, the neighborhood's calmed down from here on out and we're returned back to that subtle park atmosphere. Imagine your mall being so dead and empty that you literally have a convenience store. That and Bath & Body Works, of course. Till the very end. Just weird seeing essentially a gas station market inside of a mall. I mean, at least they got something. Before we get to the end of the history and how this mall earned its name as the $100 disaster, I just wanted to slow it down and enjoy what it was like being in this park-like atmosphere when surrounded by dead storefronts with ironic quotes, fake lifeless trees, and fake metal blue sky above. It's hard not to be thankful for all of these amazing friends I've made over my journeys, and thankful for you guys. Thank you all so much for 10,000 subscribers. Each episode is a new story, and I hope that until the end of my time here, I can continue to keep telling you all stories. So, before the history, I'm gonna go silent here, let you all enjoy a bit of the mall as we come down towards Macy's, and then we'll continue. One of the mall's largest non-traditional tenants, an ITT technical school, would leave in 2016. In 2017, Zamias would put the mall in foreclosure as the unprofitable structure was hemorrhaging money at this point. And upon going to auction, the mall was auctioned to its mortgage holder, Wells Fargo, in just 5 minutes. The entire mall for one starting bid, $100, and that would be it. Wells Fargo, now owing $149 million on the property, still sits on the mall today. Aside from all of this, 2017 would also be the year the SkyTrail would be taken out, as nobody ever used it and it was just ridiculous. The mall would sit largely like it does today for years. Throughout 2018, 19, and into 2020, Cinemark through the pandemic would shut down, and then they would announce that they would never reopen, leaving the mall's theaters dead. In June, JCPenney, in the heat of their closing of 154 underperforming stores, would also shutter their location. And throughout 2021, some of the last name brands, Claire's, Lids, and Champs, would all close, leaving Macy's, Joann, and a Dick's Sporting Goods, which doesn't even have a mall entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I've been holding out on you for so long now, but here we have him, at last, the big man himself, kind enough to even make a special appearance in tonight's video, Santa Claus. I don't know how many visits he gets here at Pittsburgh Mills, but I can't imagine he's really busy here at all. And with that last bit of history, we're sort of brought up to where we are today. There currently sits no grand plan with Pittsburgh Mills. It's simply been sitting virtually abandoned for years, and really, it's anyone's guess as to how long this mall will continue to stay open. Although I personally can't see it being much longer. I would usually ask what the future holds for the mall, but Pittsburgh Mills was a mall that was born without a future. It was a mall that should have never been. And while the village at Pittsburgh Mills, the big box next door, continues to thrive and flourish, the Mills itself continues to stagnate and rot, with that giant sign out front still advertising the fun that was never had. As much as I may dog on the mall for its tacky early 2000s looks, hilarious quotes, and depressing nature, it was still a mall that so many memories were made in. Kids in the late 2000s, millennials who were teens here, and elders who still walk its halls. I envy those memories, and I hope you're able to look back on them fondly through this video, because this was a beautiful mall in its own way. It was a mall that was able to encapsulate an entire era, and I think that for that it deserves the love and respect that I give it. Now as we go out on our final Echo Wave track, brought to you by, well, you know who, I pass on my final eulogy. Farewell, Pittsburgh Mills. Thank you for the memories you were able to give so many, and good luck in the next life. So what do you think the future holds for Pittsburgh Mills? Do you see this mall making a comeback? Maybe one day in the future as a discount center or even some apartments? It's got the street-like atmosphere for that. Or do you see its days numbered and all we're truly waiting for is for those doors to close one night and never open again? Let me know down below. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching tonight's episode. Pittsburgh Mills was a surreal and ethereal experience. To be in one of the first malls that got me into the hobby was pretty cool, and if any of you are ever in the area, make sure you stop in, walk the loop, and try to imagine what it could have been like. If you guys enjoy my Dead Mall videos, consider subscribing as it helps out so much. And we finally reached 10,000 before the end of Season 5. Thank you all so much for everything you've allowed me to do. It has literally been the greatest joy of my life bringing you all these videos. Also, head over to the Patreon for the coolest channel perks and a monthly Dead Mall Polaroid taken and signed by me. Next week, there will be no episode, as next Saturday I'll be working on the finale of Season 5. So stay tuned, maybe next Saturday. What will be coming is a 3-level behemoth mall, one that stood through thick and thin and now sits waiting for a future. Guess which mall we'll be at, and I'll shout you out in the next episode. But until then, have yourselves a lovely evening, and peace out guys. See you later.